I was supposed to be there for the first episode, but I had just had a baby. He was 3 days old when they called me to go in to record. And I'd been waiting like 6 months for this thing to start, right? And I said, I can't come in. They were like an hour away. I said, you're going to have to get somebody else. And Steve Harris said, okay. And I thought that was it. I thought I had, given it up. And 6 weeks later, he called me, said, can you come in now?
Wow.
And I was like, oh man, they waited for me and everything.
That's cool.
So I said, well, can I bring my baby? And he goes, well, this is focus on the family, I guess so. So we drove out there with the baby in his little carrier, and that's how I did my first episode. So they had already been working for about 6 weeks when we recorded Connie Comes to Town.
Hey, look out. It's Faith Talk Today. I'm Rick Probst. What a great Atlanta weekend. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the presence of royalty. The queen is here. Love that laugh. Voice actress Katie Leigh is with us. She has lent her voice to, according to IMDb, I think I wore IMDb out. It just continues to go with Katie Leigh, right? Muppet Babies, Disney's Gummy Bears, Tom and Jerry, Alvin and the Chipmunks, and Darkwing Duck, and so many more. And she continues to do her stuff. Since 1987, she has been the voice of Connie Kendall and Focus on the Family's Adventures in Odyssey. We're going to talk to her in just a second. Thank you for listening to our podcasts and watching our show. Hey, this one's one you want to keep for yourself and share it. All your friends. You can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, listen to us wherever you get your podcast. Can I call you the Queen, Katie? Is that okay?
You may call me whatever you want, like as long as you don't call me late for dinner, right?
That's an old one.
Yes, it is. Well, I'm old.
You're way too young to parrot that joke. We have so much to talk about. You are a legend, and in fact, I was on. If you'll go to katieleigh.com, you'll see not only does she do voices for many cartoons over the years, and of course, Adventures in Odyssey and Focus on the Family. She does voiceover work on television and radio, and the Pepsi Zero spot, the Apple spot. I was listening because I'm a voiceover guy too, and I was like, my gracious, she's kicking butt and taking names. That's just so amazing.
Don't believe everything you see in the media.
Let me ask you this, and I'm not going to say how long you've been doing this. You've been doing it for a while, obviously, with Adventures in Odyssey.
Obviously, with the internet, there are no secrets, Rick, so it doesn't matter whatever you say, right?
At least 38 years, let's call it that. Probably more. You've been doing VOs. Who got you started? Who said, hey, Katie, you have an amazing voice. Do something with it.
That is a funny question. My uncle had a hairpiece shop in Beverly Hills, and I was home for Christmas break from college, and he needed somebody to fill in to be his receptionist. So I went to work there, and one of the guys he did a hairpiece for was a news guy in LA, and he might be one of the first people who told me that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you remember what was your first gig? Did you do a local station, or did somebody say, hey, here's a Coke commercial, do it?
Well, he sent me over to meet Chuck Bloor. And if you're a real radio fan, you might know Chuck Bloor is credited with creating color radio. That's what they called it. He wrote his if you're a radiophile, get Chuck's autobiography. It's very interesting. So Ken Jones was his name. He had me gave me Chuck's info, and I met Chuck, and I really didn't start doing it professionally, but I was at home, and Chuck called and said, come over to the studio. I want you to record something. And I didn't know what I hadn't heard my voice played back to me before. You know how that initial thing is. It's really awful. And I remember the line because I just didn't think I could say it right. I didn't, but it was for a telephone company commercial, and it was, But Channel 7 went out during 8 is enough, and I have to get it back for Three's Company. That was my first line, yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have a clip of that somewhere? Did you keep your...
No, because I don't even know if it aired, tell you the truth.
Katie Leigh with us, voice actress. We're going to talk specifically about Adventures in Odyssey. Were you working? Well, you were working 38 plus years. Well, 38 years ago. Did you work with Hal Smith at all?
Oh yeah,
Did you
yeah.
work? Do you guys? Did you work separately, or did you get in a room and do your thing? How'd you do
Oh
that?
no, we all worked together. And honestly, before we did Odyssey, we worked on a show called Dumbo's Circus. And I was Dumbo's voice. Hal was the ringmaster's voice. Will Ryan was the dog's voice, and Walker Edmiston played the cat. So we were all friends. Walker went to my wedding before we ever made Adventures in Odyssey.
Wow.
So when they didn't know when they cast us. I was cast separately. So when I showed up for work, all my buddies were there. No one told me who else was in the cast. So we just hit the ground running. Yeah, I knew how, and I was supposed to be there for the first episode, but I had just had a baby. He was 3 days old when they called me to go in to record. And I'd been waiting like 6 months for this thing to start, right? And they finally did. And here I'm holding this little brand new baby. And I said, maybe he was 6 days old. And I said, I can't come in. They were like an hour away. I said, you're going to have to get somebody else. And Steve Harris said, okay. And I thought that was it. I thought I had, given it up. And 6 weeks later, he called me, said, can you come in now?
Wow.
And I was like, oh man, they waited for me and everything.
That's cool.
So I said, well, can I bring my baby? And he goes, well, this is focus on the family, I guess so. So we drove out there with the baby in his little carrier, and that's how I did my first episode. So they had already been working for about 6 weeks when we recorded Connie Comes to Town.
Wow. Katie Leigh, the voice of Connie Kendall on Adventures in Odyssey. We just talked about Hal Smith. If you'll remember, Hal Smith was Otis Campbell on the Andy Griffith Show. He did so many parts and voices over the years, but he was the first wit on Adventures in Odyssey till his passing.
Yeah.
And what a great guy. What a sweet guy and very talented individual.
Lots of fun, too.
Has it surprised you at all, Katie, that the longevity of this thing, I mean, 38 years,
Has it surprised you? It surprised everybody. It's a big surprise. It's a miracle.
Well, I think you celebrated, well, I know you did, the 1,000th episode. Was it in 2024? It wasn't this year, was it? It
was last summer. Focus on the Family. Last August, we did a big, it was amazing. They had a huge event for 2 days on campus, all these events going on. And then on the Saturday, we did 2 live shows, sold out audiences of 3,000 in each each show. It was amazing.
When at this point, and I've heard this from other folks that have worked on Adventures in Odyssey, when you start talking to parents that and then children and grandchildren of people that have listened to Adventures in Odyssey, it's got to be a little humbling, overwhelming. And are there
a little?
What do they say is there a common question they ask you when they realize who you are?
They say, when's Connie going to get married?
Really? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the question usually. Yeah. Yep. And there's some people say, oh, she's okay being single, and other people want to know when she's going to get married. So it's kind of funny.
How has she grown over the years? The character is a character, right? And they do pick up things. They grow, you've got, different decades and technology.
Well, when she started, she was 15.
Yeah.
When the show started, Connie was 15. And now she's in her 20s, and she's gone through a lot of life stuff. She has her sister living with her. She's kind of raising her sister, who's kind of similar to her. I'm poking my finger here. I think I got a piece of glass in my finger, and I have no idea how I did this. Sorry. I digress. I'm a lot like Connie, if you haven't noticed.
If we were there, we would help get that piece of glass out of your.
Thank you. Well, my husband's here, and he's like the best glass getter outer I know. So I'm very thankful. Anyway, okay, sorry. I'm like,
No,
why is she poking her finger? Like, what is? I don't know what I touched, but anyway,
now,
okay.
were you doing voice stuff before you got married, and then you got married? What'd your husband think about it? Do you think, oh, this can't last, or wow, we could do well with this. Let's keep going. What did he say?
Oh, well, I did. I actually moved to Los Angeles after I graduated college from San Francisco to come to LA to do voice work. So when it seemed like I could do it for full time, that's great. It used to be the best part-time job, especially for a mom, right?
Yeah.
We work a lot more now. It's, then the talent pool is so much bigger, and we all have to have home studios now. And it's just a whole different vibe than when I started. But when I started, if you could book a couple cartoon series in a year, that was like a full-time salary pretty much, and do a few things on the side. Not quite that way. I'm wearing my My Little Pony shirt. I also was in My Little Pony.
Yeah. Yeah. If you'll read her IMDb, it just keeps going on and going on and going on. We could talk about what she's done, and you've got some other stuff coming up. I mean, usually in IMDb, they say what you're getting ready to do, what you've booked. I can't remember actually off the top of my head, but I did see that you just like the Energizer Bunny. You just keep going. Check out her website. It's katieleigh.com. Of course, you hear on Adventures in Odyssey. You hear that here at Faith Talk Atlanta, probably every Salem station, all over. Let's talk about your books. Now, you have a few books, Adventures in Oddity, not Odyssey, but Oddity.
Do you want to see what they look like?
Yeah,
you want me? Because I'm out here on the porch. I have a couple copies handy. I can show you if you want to see. Do you guys want to come with me over here to my suitcase? I'm traveling, because last week I was in Chicago working on Jake Muller Adventures. That's a cool Christian audio drama. And I'm going to Pennsylvania tonight. I'm doing a show Saturday for a fundraiser for a church in Pennsylvania. So this is Adventures in Oddity.
Mm-hmm.
And that the bonus edition I did with Will Ryan. And you want to know something crazy? You know how you asked me if we knew each other?
Yeah.
Well, this picture was taken before Odyssey. Don't we look like Connie and Eugene?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I asked Will to pose with me for on camera composite. And when I found the picture, I showed it to him. So, Will, look at this picture. We look like Connie and Eugene. We should give this to Focus. And he said, no, we're not going to give it to them yet. We'll save it for our book. I said, okay, what book? And he said, well, write one. So that's where this came out. But it's super cool. And you can see Will did all the artwork.
That's awesome.
He was an artist. And we also have the audiobook version in which there is more music than there is in the book. So if that interests you, I'm going to show you all my stuff here. Show and tell. And then this is the itty bitty book of codependency, which is, let me try. The camera here is backwards, so I'm trying my best. I could never be on drill team because I can't do all those things. But this is also easy reading, easy humorous reading for the codependent in your life. Oh, that might be you. Okay, so there we go.
Do you have other books in mind, or just they you write them as they come? What?
Yeah, that happened. Yeah, obviously the Oddity book was Will's idea, and this is the first one I've done without him. So I also have Connie Candles. Did you know that? If you go to my website,
I must have missed those on your website because I was on there.
And they smell. This one is raspberry. It smells so good, like raspberry ripple ice cream. Yeah, they have gel wax raspberries in them. So anyway, I have some of these with me because when I do my public stuff, sometimes people can get them. We don't have to pay for shipping. So, all right, that's enough of that commercial.
Good stuff. KatieLeigh.com. Go there and you can get the books and the candles.
Yeah, and the books are available on Amazon. If they want an autographed copy, go to my website. And they can watch us on the Tell You Later show. Did you know we have a show?
I think I did read that. Tell us about the show since you brought it up.
Well, after we recorded the Adventures in Oddity bonus edition, well, we did the Adventures in Oddity, and then we wrote some bonus chapters, and we filmed us reading them. So that video is available through the Patreon website or through my website too, maybe. My husband kind of handles that. And that was kind of fun. So then Will thought he wanted to do a podcast, a YouTube show. So unfortunately, he didn't even live through the first year. We didn't know he was sick, but we recorded a lot of episodes. And he used to say, like, to prove once and for all that we're nothing like the characters we play on Adventures in Odyssey, which, isn't exactly true. So and it's called Tell You Later. So people can see Will and I goofing off. Connie and Eugene, Will and Katie. What's the difference? I don't know. On YouTube, and then there's a lot of more shows available on our Patreon supported site. Extra content like Adventures in Popcorn. Will and I were big popcorn aficionados. We have that. And Welcome to Later, because we never finished talking about anything. So then we created these characters who commented on the Tell You Later show. So there's some really neat stuff that I have of Will to watch whenever I'm missing him,
Oh, that's so cool. Katie Leigh, check it out, KatieLeigh.com. What a pleasure. It is an honor, not only a pleasure to talk to you. You are a legend. Thank you for doing what you do. And you continue on real quick. What do you have next besides us all?
Oh, yeah. Well, you're in Atlanta,
right?
So you're not too far from Pigeon Forge. I don't know if you heard, but the Ark Encounter is building this virtual reality experience called Truth Traveler.
Okay.
And I'm the voice of the robot.
Oh, wow.
It's a 4D. You put on eye things. And when I go to Atlanta, I hope they'll be open. I'll drive up there and get to see it. So there's one in Branson and one in Pigeon Forge that they're building. It's supposed to be ready now. They said the end of March, but I don't know that it's quite ready yet.
Well, you never know where you're going to hear Katie's voice.
If they watch. Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting you.
That's all right.
Answers TV also. I'm the voice of Lily in Lily's Lab, if people watch that. So she's a little dinosaur, teaches science to kids.
So good. Katie, bless you. We appreciate you so much. We'd love to talk to you again. And we found we have mutual friends with Heidi and Mike Stout. So maybe we'll run into you. I
hope so. Next time I'm in Atlanta or teaching a workshop down there, come by and say hi.
Love to. I would love to be there to take in all the stuff that you have. Katie Leigh, check her out, of course, Adventures in Odyssey, KatieLeigh.com. And what a pleasure. Hey, check out this podcast, download it, watch it, and share it. FaithTalkAtlanta.com or wherever you get your podcast. Next week, another
FaithTalk, woo!
Next week, another great guest. Join us. Have a good week. I'm Rick Probst. See ya.
Bye, Rick. Thank you.